Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Mimosa Fridays podcast, a show where we share powerful life lessons and a few laughs as Gail empowers others as she sits at the intersection of people, purpose, and politics while sipping on mimosas. Now grab some orange juice and champagne and welcome your host, Gail Dudley. Are you ready to raise awareness of your brand, product, or service? Gail, the host of News in Motion and Mimosa Friday podcast, is an influencer who brings attention to every product she mentions. She started out with a few followers and is growing her base daily. Listeners tune in Monday through Friday from around the U.S. and beyond. Let Gail help you expand and connect with new customers from all around. To get your brand, product, or services mentioned on her shows, just contact info.gaildudley@gmail.com to request her media deck.
All right, y'all. Without further ado, let me bring on Mary Jenkins. Mary Jenkins is the COC founder. As a two-time breast cancer survivor, she humbly takes on responsibility as acting president, CEO of the COC. Through great personal adversity, she created the organization designed to be a help for others that was not available to her during her journey. What led to the conception of COC? As a parent, the furthest thing one imagines is being diagnosed with cancer. For her, breast cancer, stage 3, almost stage 4. Triple negative, invasive, ductal, and I can't even say that word, so I'm gonna let her say it when she comes on to be exact. She said she remembers taking time off of work for appointments and tests, starting chemotherapy, getting very sick, bedridden for days, getting laid off so she could focus on recovery, needing financial assistance to help her pay her rent, her utilities, and going to well-known cancer organizations only to be told, we don't do that. We fund research, treatment, and awareness, and applying for welfare cash assistance by getting denied. There was no cancer or other organization to turn to for help and the way that she needed, which led her to do something about it. She goes, I knew I was not the only one who needed help paying bills. So this morning we want to welcome, bam, there she is, Mary Jenkins.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to you. So much to cover, so we're going to jump in, of course. But I just find it really interesting. I've known you for, we said, now 21 years, I believe we've known each other.
Yes.
And so I've been a part of this journey with you. And we were just laughing before we came on camera. There was a time she was recovering in like a nursing facility in Central Ohio off of Carl Road. And Mary called me and said, can you bust me out of here? I just need to get out. And I drove up and busted her out of the rehab place. And we went away for about an hour and a half. Then I took her back. So yeah, I busted. So I'm her partner in crime. So I've known Mary for a very, very long time. So welcome to News in Motion, and thank you for your willingness to share your story.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm still forever grateful that you did bust me out the nursing home.
I was like, come on, Mary, I'm driving up. Get in. I was the getaway car. All right, so let's start with this. And I butchered that one word. What type of breast cancer did you have? And then I was saying the invasive ductal. I'm jacking that up.
Yes, it's invasive ductal carcinoma. Stage 3, almost stage 4.
That's it, y'all. I said it, didn't I? No, go ahead. And so when you first, how was it when you found out? What got you to that place? Do you do the breast exams in the shower? Speak to us. Let us know.
I wasn't doing any of that. I was 38 years old, single parent, and literally my son and I were wrestling. We were playing around in the house, and he accidentally elbowed me in the chest. And I was like, oh, you done hurt me. I got to call on the Lord for healing. Oh, son. And, he was all distraught. And, I was literally laying it on. And after a couple of days, it was still hurting. And so I went to the emergency room, and the doctor said, I think I feel something, but I'm not sure. Let's go ahead and schedule you for a mammogram. And I was like, a who? You don't get those until you're 40. And I was 38. And so I was like, okay. And so I went and had this mammogram done. And when I had the actual exam, they left me in the back room for a long time. And I was like, okay, God, I know we not having something go on. And the nurse came in and she said, well, we think we see something. We'd like to measure it. So can we do a sonogram? And I was like, what? She's like, well, it's a guided test. So he did it and they measured it and it was almost 5 centimeters. And if you can envision a softball and how the center of it is hard, but you can't feel it, that's how the mass was in my breast. It was literally in the center of my right breast. And so I'd say my son, God used my son to elbow me in the chest that ended up saving my life.
Wow. Wow. So when I was reading your bio, which you and I have talked about a lot, and I want people to hear this. You would go to known places and they would say, well, we don't help you pay anything. We just pay for research. What was
Correct.
that like? Because you got laid off. You were going to get welfare. You were doing whatever you can to be able to stay in treatment, to be able to take care of yourself, and there was no one out there to help you. Can you speak to that to share with our
Oh
audience?
yeah. See, so I'm a sister girl. I haven't always been saved all my life. And when I was going through, I was like, what you mean you don't help people? Because this is what happened. When I got laid off work, I was like, well, okay, I don't have to go to work, but let me at least do something. So I started volunteering with the Komen Foundation, because I'm like, it's here in Columbus. They do the big race for the cure. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to help them. And when I did my very first race in 2006, I was the last person to go across the line, like the last. They were taking the stuff down when I came across, but I finished. Jesus.
You finished,
right? That was what was important. But at that time, it was like, okay, I'm going to volunteer for them because I wanted to learn more, and so for me, I'm like, I'm gonna jump in. I don't have to go to work, so I don't have to worry about that. So later on, I can volunteer and I can speak on it, and I can learn the Susan G. Komen story and all that. Nancy Brinker. I'm gonna be the girl. I'm gonna be the new face of the Komen Foundation. And then when I needed help, what you mean? What you mean? This is me. I've done these things for you guys, and you guys don't. You research, treatment, and awareness. Okay, I understand the importance of those things, but what about the ones that's battling cancer now? We need help now. What we gonna do? Oh, reach out to the American Cancer Society. Okay, American Cancer Society, you don't do it either. What you mean you don't do it either? Okay, there's some place in Columbus called the Columbus Cancer Clinic. Okay, let me reach out to them. You only offer how much? $500 one time in your life, and I'm not income eligible because I haven't been unemployed long enough. Let me go apply for welfare. I can't get that either. Come on now, Jesus. And that's when the Lord and I had to have a conversation because the revelation was so strong. And then I had an attitude. So I was like, I'm a cuss. So I need to go talk to the Lord. And I ended up at Columbus Christian Center at 2300 North Cassidy Avenue in this sanctuary having a heated conversation with the Lord because I didn't understand how now you're supposed to be my provider and I'm about to lose everything. My kids about to suffer. This don't make no sense. Oh, Lord, don't get me started because it was so real. But the reality of it was that was a breaking moment for me. And when I was venting and the church overheard my story, they were like, Mary Jenkins, we had no idea. Like, bunch of people don't know. Somebody needs to tell them. And so the church offered to pay my bills, which was a blessing for me. But somebody needed to tell folks where money does and doesn't go. Somebody needed to do something. Somebody. And I was like, somebody. And they were like, Mary. And I was like, not me, because I'm shy. But I know. I tried to get folks to believe that, and don't nobody believe it. And
Tell that to somebody else, okay?
right. Because I was like, I can't be that person, because see what it was, I was trying to run from ministry. And I wanted to sing in the choir because I was ministering in song, and putting myself out there like that was going to be just so exposing of all things Mary Jenkins. And I just didn't want to do it, but God, he knew, and that did it. That started it.
So would you agree or disagree that your faith had to be adjusted before you continued on?
My faith was crazy. So prior to my getting diagnosed, I was in ministry school, and I was studying this book called God's Generals, Smith Wigglesworth and John G. Lake, A.A. Allen, all the heavy hitters of the charismatic movement. And I was like, I'm trying to have faith like that. Well, you got to be careful what you ask for, because that they went through some stuff to get that kind of faith. And I didn't realize that my life was going to be laid on the line for me to truly walk by faith, for me to truly believe what the word of God says, for truly. And it was like, okay, I'll be Jobette. I'll be Job, because Job was sick so long and his flesh fell from his bone, but he trusted God. I was gonna be her. I was gonna be Jobette, and I would tell people everywhere I went that I would live and not die and declare the works, and that all things work together for good. And greater is he that's in me, and by his stripes I'm healed. And so I went through the journey differently than most people, but I was walking 100% by faith. So my faith was already high. It just went to crazy high.
So you were saying, when I was reading here, you said assistance to pay rent, utilities, um, just to even live.
Car note, car insurance, cable bill, buy food. Yeah. Because this is so in my situation, I had a full-time job. And by me being a surviving spouse of a person that died in active duty, I had a pension. And so between my pension and my full-time job, it made it possible for me to meet my obligations. And so when my employer let me go, that meant that whole side of my revenue went away, but the bills didn't. And they still had to get paid. So I had savings, because they say you can save $1,000 when an emergency happens. You can make it through. I had savings. I went through my savings, and then I needed help. And that was when the revelation came that money raised in the world of cancer was not being used to prevent evictions, utility disconnections, car repossessions, loss of child care, you name it. The bills that people were having that they had to pay, literally, they were not getting addressed. And that was something that was hard to realize, and to know that even today, if you think of the well-known cancer organizations, the American Cancer Society, the Komen Foundation, the Pink Ribbon Girls, you name it, St. Jude, they all refer to the COC because there's people that are in the toughest battle of their life that need help paying their bills. And so we're always fundraising. And it's like, oh my goodness, there's another person that needs help. There's another person. And it's not just breast cancer patients for us, it's any cancer. So we help men, women, and parents of children that are battling cancer. We help everyone. So yeah, it's been to something. Someone needed to do something, and I became that person.
Wow. I'm asking the viewers if y'all have any questions, please put those in. In addition to that, Mary, can you just go into a little bit of what you are hearing from people that are coming into the COC?
People that are since pandemic has done a number on people. So when a person's going through treatment, oftentimes they either do the chemo where it gets infused by a port, or sometimes they get to, if it's a hormone-based chemo, they can take a chemo pill. Well, what they're finding is because of pandemic and it being something that affects the immune system, their immune system is already compromised, which is why I say strengthen your immune system. The immune system is already compromised, so people weren't able to go to work. So we're seeing an increase in the number of people asking for help. And like I said, for us, it's not just in Columbus, Ohio. We are the go-to ones literally around the world. And so we're seeing an increase in the number of people asking for help, but we're also seeing a decrease in donations because for us, we've always been donation funded. And so I'm an up close personal kind of person. I want to hug you and love on you. And if you going through, I want to pray for you. I want to be used the way that God would have me used in the moment. And so for 2020, all of our events canceled. And it was like, okay, how are we going to do this? And it's only by the grace of God, because the Lord knew. We had an event, we had a fundraiser before the pandemic, before the shutdown of the city, of the country. We had one and we raised $119,000. And because of that, along with our, other fundraising, we were able to sustain last year. But it was like, whew, there are some organizations that didn't make it. And so when people are coming in, they're coming in tears. And now it's gotten even worse because we're hearing from people that now they're saying emergency surgeries. So they're identifying which surgeries to have. And the woman called me probably about a month ago now. They left her incision open and it was starting to drain. And they're telling her just change her bandages because they can't do the surgery because it's considered cosmetic. I was like, what hospital are you at in Indianapolis? They was gonna have me drive to Indianapolis. So fortunately, I was able to give her some feedback to help her go to someplace else and get the help that she needed. Because truth be told, people are suffering, battling cancer. It's one thing to have pandemic, but have pandemic and battling cancer, it's getting even worse. And people are if you could just help. I've already used my medical certification to extend my electric bill, and now I don't have anything else. They're gonna cut my electric bill off if I don't come up with $400. And we're like, we understand, because what sets us apart from every other cancer organization out there, because granted, there are ones today that will offer support, but this is how they say, we can offer housing, we can offer you up to $500 for your expenses. Well, what if my rent's $900? Then what? So, and oftentimes they say, well, prove to us you have the difference, and then we'll give you the 500. That's doing the most. So for us, we just want to verify that a person is in active treatment and verify what their need is. So we don't give people money because, like I said, I remember when I was going through, and had the church gave me a check for $2,000 and said, here, Mary, go ahead and take care of the rent and the utilities and things. I'm beyond it. I would have ordered pizza that night for my kids and filled the tank up with gas, went to the grocery store, did something just to be normal. And then I would have figured out what lie I would have to tell for not paying the bills. So I admit, I didn't want anyone else to have to lie to us. So we just gonna pay the bill for you. We gonna pay the bill.
If I can ask additional question, what is like the average a person may need when they come to the COC?
When a full need, so when a person applies, they are like, if you can help us with anything, here's all of our need. But if you can help us with any part of it, we will be we'll be thankful. But we have calculated it, the average for housing, utilities, transportation, insurance is $2,000
A month or total?
a month. So like I said, that covers everything. So that's your house note or your mortgage, your electric bill, your gas bill, your water bill, your car note, your car insurance, buying some food. If you have childcare, heaven forbid, like we had a lady who contacted us from the chemo center. Her car got repossessed at the chemo center. And she was like, I don't know what to do. And we were like, okay, first let's help you in the situation. Let's get you home. Let's do that. And she was out of state. And so when like, how did you even hear about us? But hospital told her there's only one organization that we could find that might be able to help you. So they reached out to us. We went ahead, contacted a taxi company, got her home, and then found out what her need was. And she needed like $700 to keep her car from being repossessed. And I was like, honey, okay, we can handle that. And then, are you serious? And so she was boohoo crying, and I was boohoo crying right along with her, because moments like that, it just brings back to when I started the organization and we were breast cancer only. And we were that way because that's what I knew. So I knew breast cancer patients had needs. But when we were 4 months old, we got a referral of a woman that had cervical cancer. And this woman needed $150 or her car was going to get repossessed. And I remember telling her we could not help her because she had the wrong type of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the anointing. I was like, God, I am so sorry, because I knew I had missed them. Because what's the right type of cancer? There isn't one. So we changed our mission to include all cancers. And it was like, okay. And so I know this is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we can talk about 1 in 8 women get diagnosed with cancer. And we can talk about 218,000 women are expected, or people are expected to die in this year because of breast cancer. We could talk about all that. 1.3 million people are expected to get diagnosed. We could talk about all that. But the reality of it is there are men, women, and parents of children battling cancer that need help. And so for me, I was like, okay, I know I'm a breast cancer survivor, but my heart goes out to all cancers, because how can I rightfully say to someone, I'm only fundraising for breast cancer? My heart doesn't allow that, because that's like, I'm having an organization and our mission is only to serve African American breast cancer patients. I can't do that. For me, that's just not Christ, because in Christ there is no color. And I'm like, we got everybody. So I used to say saints, ain'ts, and others. And people were like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, saints, ain'ts, and others. And people were like, okay, let me stop saying that. So we just don't discriminate. So we don't care about a person's income status, their race, their gender, their preference, their orientation. None of that matters. Because at the end of the day, when you're battling cancer and you need the bill help, it don't matter. None of those things. You just hope that we can help you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing today. I'm hearing the feedback. Y'all don't know where it's coming from. That's the first we've had this with the new system, so we'll check that out. But y'all, if you would like to donate, I have it on the screen. Go to www.thecoccares.org/donate. If you have questions for Mary, we have that on the screen as well. You can go to Mary@thecoccares.org. Mary, you have other ways people can give. Can you share those?
Yes. So we're actually preparing for the Thanksgiving holiday. We're going to be providing Thanksgiving dinner boxes, dealing with food insecurity. So we're going to need volunteers. And so if people want to volunteer, they can reach out to us. And then in December, we are preparing for Cancer Can't Stop Christmas, where we're making the wishes come true of children whose life has been touched by cancer. Because it's one thing just to get a gift on Christmas, but it's another thing to think, I know I'm not going to be able to get this particular gift because my family's struggling financially, battling cancer. And then they hear Cancer Can't Stop Christmas, and we bless them and make that wish come true. Send it to either to me personally or go on the website, and they can actually click on the link and fill out the information.
Cool. Y'all, the inspirational message today, I just want to talk about caring. Caring for our brothers and sisters, which means we have to decrease so God can increase on the inside of us. That is what's important today. So when you're out about doing what you're doing, start thinking about or start imagining how you can help someone who's in need. We heard from Mary this morning. She is the founder of the COC Cares. Again, at coccares.org. Check that out and you can go coccares.org/donate and donate. But you also heard that she also is seeking volunteers as we're going into the Christmas holiday. A thing I want to challenge all of us with today is that as we are in this last quarter of the year, to start really thinking about how can you help, how can you make a difference and impact the communities that are around you and make such a great impact that you are giving Jesus another smile on his face, not another opportunity to smile. He smiles every day, but another smile on his face. Say, there's my girl, there's my boy. They're doing what I've called them to do. So really decrease your privilege, if you will, decrease your selfishness, if you will, and start thinking about the others who are around you. Y'all, I am so glad y'all came out to hang with me today.
Catch Gail each weekday on News in Motion on Facebook Live at facebook.com/News in Motion or her YouTube at youtube.com/Gail Dudley. You can also follow Gail on Instagram and Twitter at Gail Dudley and visit her website, www.gaildudley.com. Until next week, as Gail always signs off, stay well and remember to make some moves.